Are we in time? Yes. This is 11:30 and let's get going. Good morning, everyone, and thank you very much for the time you have dedicated to coming and listening to what STEM Research Group within the school has been doing. It's an excellent effort by all the presenters coming up with their posters and in brief explaining what they did during the year. Before we start, I first do the acknowledgement to the country. We here recognize the people of this Whadjuk Noongar land, past, present, and emerging. In doing so, we would like to pay our respects to elders, past, present, and future. Everyone will be presenting your posters here. After that, we'll go out and posters. Anyone having questions, we will go with the question answer session. Each presenter has maximum of 3 minutes to keep within the time frame we have. Anyone going over time will be given a nod. Sorry for that. And I would request people to stand here because this is the pressure pad and the whole thing is being recorded and it will be shared with the rest of the community after that. Going on to the next slide, this is the sequence of the presenters. Please keep the next presenter ready before the one who is presenting so that we don't waste time in moving. May I call upon Professor David Tregurst to start his presentation.
Just very quickly.
Yeah.
It's open tens. Sorry, David.
All right.
I've just run over. Whew.
You're on time, though.
Yeah.
Oh, some people are.
Yep. So you've got a few more people. You've actually got a few more people then. Okay.
All right, thank you. This is a Year Through 10 curriculum initiative, bringing modern physics concepts into the curriculum. It's a 5-year funded Australian Research Council linkage grant. It's based at UWA, and I am a chief investigator on this grant. The concepts fit within ACARA's science elaborations for years 3 through 10, so it fits into the curriculum and what teachers are normally doing. The teaching involves games, activities, role plays, and group work, and in this way to try and engage students in these physics concepts. It's underpinned theoretically by this model of educational reconstruction, which is the diagram on the left-hand side, which links curriculum, teaching, and learning. We also use a spiral curriculum, and that's the model on the right-hand side. So a topic that's presented in Year 3 in a very simple way is revisited at other concepts. So by the time students get to Year 10, they've really got a good understanding of these concepts. So that's about the development. In terms of the outcomes, the Einstein First team members first implement the curriculum in schools with the teacher as a by the side, so the teacher can then model later. We've had very positive responses from teachers and students. Several doctoral theses have been completed already, and 3 are underway. One has just submitted his doctoral thesis. We've got many published papers with empirical data, and they're available on the website. And there's also an Einstein First book which I meant to bring with me. It's about So Thick, which has got lots of interesting data. So thank you.
Just before you start.
Yes.
Yeah. Right. And I share screen. Okay, hang on. Where are these people? Okay, hold on.
Does that mean my time's up?
No, it doesn't. There you go. Sorry, she's about to start.
Okay, so today I'm presenting my findings today on my current PhD study. So the research is funded by the Australian Research Council Discovery Project. Is that okay? And the aim of the research was to provide teachers with an example of how to practice and develop students' creative skill development, whilst also improving student conceptual understanding of Year 7 science lessons. So the skills that I'm trying to improve are in the inquiry, imagination, doing and reflecting, as were described in the 2019 OECD Centre of Educational Research report. So what occurred in these lessons, there was 4 lessons over 5 weeks that were based on the Year 7 science curriculum in chemistry. The key activity was for the students to draw explanatory diagrams. The reason for this is because we see this as an example of a way to improve creative skills and also have the students actively engage in their learning and help deepen those connections and within their internal schema. So the lessons involved an experiment or an observation, which then required the students to draw a diagram, but prior to this they discussed their ideas in groups and then as a class on a whole to improve their understanding. They worked individually on their diagrams, but they actually collaborated quite well together in their groups. The data I have analysed to date has been the student diagrams themselves, audio and visual transcripts, and also teacher notes. And I'm looking for the depth of student understanding of the concept, and also I've noted some challenges that have been faced by both the students and the teacher. So the results so far have indicated that the students' conceptual understanding is of much higher level than we normally experience in Year 7 science. For example, students can explain particle behaviour leading to dissolving rather than just simply defining a dissolving of a substance, what actually occurs. They're getting the how and the why of it. Another benefit is that they are also being able to use, or the teachers being able to use this as a formative form of evaluation to be able to look for misconceptions in the teaching program. The challenges have been varied. Some students have struggled with some of the group work, and to the teacher it's mostly time-related, making sure that students have enough time to be able to develop their understanding prior to drawing. Thank you.
Just the clicker.
Does it matter which one? There we go. Oops, I was about to walk away from my spot. I'll stay here. I work with pre-service early childhood educators, and my area is mathematics. Now, my students come to me with having a very strong belief and attitudes towards what mathematics is. Unfortunately, those beliefs aren't often conducive to them working with very young children when it comes to mathematics. So I've been working for more than 10 years now, it seems, to try and think of ways to change and challenge their thinking. I have to be very careful because if I push too hard, I risk pushing them away further. And we often talk in teacher education about reflection, but I prefer the idea of diffraction. And I first came across that more with Barad and her work on understanding the universe. Diffraction, to me, when I first thought about it, if we get our pre-service educators to reflect, they're almost looking at a mirror and seeing what is shown to them. I wanted to change that, and initially I thought of it more in terms of smashing the mirror. But over time I've thought, even though they'd see their thinking in different ways, it's still the same thinking. It hasn't changed. They may reassemble it differently, but when they're under pressure or stress, they may still return to thinking that isn't helpful in terms of early childhood mathematics education. So I've moved towards a diffraction in terms of a prism, looking through a prism and seeing how it changes, or seeing the many colours that might be evident in a rainbow that occurs through that diffraction, not holding on to the beliefs that they came with. So in doing this, I've looked at different ways they might engage with mathematics as an educator, starting off initially with Bronfenbrenner's diagram, using his nested structures, because that can help them break down the young child and then what they might bring and the influences that might impact on what they do in an early learning setting, because we have to accept that the community will say, we want this. So what do they bring? How can they stand up for what they believe as early childhood educators? I also have looked at the work of Barad and her ideas around apparatus, using the environment as a measure, particularly for pre-verbal children who don't have language to share their understandings. How can we use the environment as a tool to measure what very young pre-verbal children might understand in terms of maths and demonstrate through their engagement with the world? And finally, looking at the work of Ball and colleagues, who looked at content knowledge and pedagogical knowledge. Their seminal paper in 2008 was focused strongly on a primary and secondary setting. How might we use those ideas in an early learning environment? So that's why I've turned to the idea of diffraction, not smashing what they believe, but getting them to look at it very differently. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. I think many people don't know me. I'm Myra, PhD student visiting Curtin, and I am present some results from my master's that I am continuing this research now on PhD. So the focus of this specific study was to compare the students' conceptions of time concerning the perspective of special relativity and their level of external mediation usage. According to the cognitive networks mediation theory, our brain complements its processing information capacity using external mediations. That are four mediations. The first one is psychophysical, dealing with physical objects, social mediation, cultural, and the hypercultural one for the use of digital tools. So we use a tool called External Mediation Level Profile that was developed from a colleague from my research group on Brazil. It's a tool that maps what mediations students use it and in which frequency they use it, these mediations. So through the interviews we made with students, analyzing their speech and their gestures, we could map these mediations they used and identify basically two groups. The group one, these students conceive the space as absolute, and they use it just the psychophysical mediation, is the first image. Probably it was from their daily lives, since they imagine a blurred moving vehicle. So they couldn't internalize another kind of mediation to help them to visualize this situation that they can see on their daily lives. The group two of students, they conceive the space as relative, and all students of this group use it at least two mediations, and putting all of them together, we have the four mediation, but with a greater emphasis on the hypercultural mediation, since they imagine a spaceship decreasing in length as it moves. From animated GIF, we use it during the activities with them. So they could internalize this hypercultural mediation to visualize and understand something they can't see on their daily lives. So we highlight through these results the importance of use different types of mediation during the educational approach to help students understanding scientific concepts. Thank you.
Okay. My research team has been investigating the educational affordances of immersive virtual reality for the past 6 years, initially from the SEED grant, from Scrub Education, and currently now with the Australian Research Council's Discovery Project grant. Distinctly different from many other VR studies, we designed and evaluated VR applications as a collaborative learning activity. Students not only interact with the virtual objects, like big complex molecules inside VR, they interact with their peers to learn and share ideas together. It not only helped them learn concepts in virtual environment, it also helped them enjoy the virtual learning experience and also build collaborative problem-solving skills. So far, we have 130 students participate in the project, and 40 of them went through a comparison media study, that is for do-it study, and about 75 students went through multiple VR application activities, that is hand-me study. In this poster, I will present I'll just showcase some of the research findings by answering the question of how students interacted in one of the chemistry learning activities, Snowflake VR. And it showcases how the nature of the task, students' prior understanding, and their social relations influence what they learn, how they interact, and how they evaluate VR learning experiences. I look forward to your questions and comments afterward. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Dewi. So, thank you for the. What? What?
Yes, Cynthia.
Oh, hello. Okay. So, as introduced by Professor Miho earlier, so I'm part of Mihei's research project about immersive virtual reality. So specifically, I'm following students' journey when they use three learning media. First one is magnetic model, computer simulation, and IVR. Why I do that? Because I want to know what is the unique benefits of IVR. So this poster specifically only discussed the first part of the student's journey when they use the magnetic models. So magnetic models is similar with physical models, but it's just have magnets, so students can know how water molecules interact with each other. So the big question that we ask from students when they use this magnetic model is why snowflakes has that unique shape. It's Christmas soon, so students familiar with it. It has a hexagonal shape. So students use these magnetic models to explore how water molecules interact to explain the shapes of snowflakes. What we found, the main finding of this poster is, based on students' prior knowledge, which is different, they interact with the magnetic models differently. Students which don't know about hydrogen bonding, how about water molecules interact, they would use it to revise their understanding. But the students with higher prior knowledge, they would interact more and create more complex structure with the magnetic models and discuss more ideas. So that was the finding. To learn more, please visit my poster there. That's the gist of it, yeah, basically. Thank you.
Here, Mihai?
Yes. And over. And down.
It's been one of those days, I don't know. Right, we'll do this one. Thank you. My name's Rachel Sheffield and I'm an Associate Professor, and this was a little project that Craig Sims and Rika Cole and I had a play with to follow on from the notion of students being engaged with technology. And so we wanted to look at game-based simulation and the use of gamification. I'm sorry, that's our dog. We've just moved house. She's a little stressed at home, so we brought her to work today, so I'm sorry about that. So anyway, back to game-based simulation. So we wanted to see if game-based simulation would be something that our pre-service teachers would engage with, and then would that translate into them being able to take it into the classroom to help students learn. I mean, it's $1 billion, gamification is $1 billion business. What does the education gamification stage look like, and would it be something? The long and the short of it is they preferred a textbook. They were fairly ambivalent about the use of gamification. We used a gamification, a games-based simulation called Labster. Labster enabled them to do labs as if they were in a lab, so they could pick things up, they could put their lab coat on, they could do activities, it had all the theory embedded in there. And for my secondary science teachers, it enabled them to go and do biology if they didn't feel very confident in biology, or physics if they didn't feel very confident in physics, and learn some physics as they did it. So as I said, we expected them to love it. Yeah, they weren't sure that they did. A lot of them preferred just learning from a textbook, and I wondered if that would translate into how they would encourage their students in classrooms to learn. So have a closer look at the poster at some point, and I think I'm under my 3 minutes.
Thank you, Rachel.
All right, so this is a very brief summary of a semi-systematic historical literature review that we conducted last year. So I am conducting research into instructional practices in the first LEGO League robotics competition. And robotics competitions, educational robotics competitions, are designed to engage and promote the development of STEM and 21st century skills through the hands-on learning and collaborative and engagement with those real-world problems. So we had a look at the research literature published between, I think, 2004 and 2022 on specifically relating to the first LEGO League robotics competition, which is one of the world's largest competition involving around 318,000 students in 110 countries. So very briefly, we found that there's multiple studies with a variety of methodologies across a range of international contexts show consistently positive but not always statistically significant impacts of competition participation on student STEM attitudes, skills, and motivation. We broke it down a little bit further because the competition seems to have quite a significant impact on female students, as well as students with what our American authors refer to as ethnic minority students in the United States, as well as students with special needs, which was a slightly unexpected finding from our review. The studies are fairly consistent in that the competition does have positive short-term impacts on problem-solving, communication and collaboration skills. The long-term impact coming back in later in life is inconclusive. That's partly due to being only one longitudinal study examining students and monitoring students beyond their engagement in the competition and going into post-secondary. And the last thing is we found that there is a gap in the literature regarding instructional strategies to support students' development of 21st century skills. And that's ultimately where my PhD sort of fits into the research landscape, is because I'm examining coaching instructional practice in the competition through a qualitative actually following teams through the season, which has been rarely done. It has been done before, but rarely done. So yeah, if you'd like to learn more, come and have a chat to me outside.
Hello everyone, I'm Henry. I'm working with Dr. Mihewon's group. We are investigating the educational benefits of immersive virtual reality. So part of my PhD is to investigate what students learn from IVR, immersive virtual reality, and how. So the research team has developed 3 VR applications. One is about snowflakes, the other one is about taste receptors, the other one is about enzyme substrate reactions. So I'm looking at how students progress through these VR applications to learn and how they do the learning. So this is one part of my PhD project. I'm looking at what students learn from IVR in terms of how water molecules interact with one another to form the unique shapes of snowflakes. So I paired 70 first and second year university students. They drew diagrams. We asked them to draw because when you want to learn what students actually know, simply giving them objective type questions may be limiting. So we wanted to know what exactly do they know. So different ways students were thinking about water molecules interacting. So those are the categories A, B, C, and D. And then after that, they went into the IVR experience. Then we tested them again at the end. What we found was after IVR, students improved dramatically or starkly in terms of their understanding. So the categories A to D are in levels of increasing conceptual understanding. So D is the best. So from the diagrams, you see that most of the students actually move to D. I have 3 diagrams because some students work together on the pretest, others work together on the pretest and the post-test, like that. So different ways students interacted. So this is evidence that IVR can actually help students learn better, so they improve their understanding. But you also notice that some students from category A, from the left-hand diagram, did not change much. So that tells us that prior knowledge actually influences how much they learn. So that is what my poster is about. If you want to learn more, please come and talk to me outside. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Good day, everyone. I'm a bit nervous now. So, yeah. I would like you to imagine the world where every graduate is not just equipped with knowledge, but also with critical skills like problem solving, communication, and critical and creative thinking. And now, imagine if we could start building this world now just from our classroom. So this is the vision that our research drive for. So it's not about to create superheroes, but we aim to transform how we educate our future teachers in Indonesia, equipping them with STEM skills and constructivist learning beliefs. So that's the idea of my research in here. And speaking of superheroes, you know. And let's talk about the villain of our story in here. This is the traditional positivist learning approach. This approach prevalent in many Indonesian pre-service teacher education programs. This approach tends to promote content knowledge and with the expense of these essential skills. So it's like about to creating or making a soup, but only with one ingredient. So sure, you will have soup, right? But will it be tasty and nutritious? Probably not, right? So to address this issue, we started talking to the people who mattered most, that the stakeholders. So we interviewed the dean of faculty, the head of department, and all of them all agreed that we need one thing, that we need a shift paradigm of our educational system. That, you know, they were all in favor of designing a STEM PBL unit that includes STEM integration and problem-based learning approach to equip our Indonesian pre-service teachers with STEM skills and constructivist learning beliefs. So, and then they emphasized that this era, we need collaborate to solve problems, right? So COVID-19 has proven that we cannot solve problem only by scientists, but we need to collaborate with IT professionals, engineers, and many collaborators. Like we just talking about the soup, right? We need a variety of ingredients that working together to make or create something that truly satisfying. So how did we go about this soup? So we incorporate the TPACK framework, which encompasses technological, pedagogical content knowledge. And we add in also sustainable development goals as a context for them to solve the problem, and also the design thinking process. So to ensure our STEM PBL was structured and effective, we use ADDIE model to designing the unit. So it's a comprehensive instructional system development process that includes analyze, design, development, and implementation and evaluation. It's like having a recipe to make a soup, and you know, it's ensuring the all the ingredients is added in the right time and at the right quantity. Okay, thank you. You can have a look with my poster. Thank you.
If you know anything about me, it's going to be that standing in one spot for 3 minutes is going to be the greatest challenge of my day. Okay, thank you so much for coming and viewing our posters. So my name is Nikki Fairhurst. This actually comes from a long-standing research project called the STEMinus, and this comes from a paper that we are currently in the process of getting published. The STEMinus were developed by a group of career academics, so Rachel and Rika being two of those from education, Sue Blackley, and Nicoletta Maynard as well from the discipline of engineering. And the idea was to bring together a group of women, education and engineering, to promote positive views around STEM, to continue driving the STEM message forward, and we were so called the STEMinus. It's close to my heart because at the time I was in my undergraduate, so it was actually one of the reasons why I pursued research, being involved in a project like this. And the idea behind this paper that we developed was actually about telling stories. So back when this project first started, everyone who was involved were interviewed, and there were a number of questions that they were interviewed at the time, their thoughts around STEM, how they felt about themselves in that space, as well as what brought them to that space in the first place. What were their driving forces? What were their motivations? And we found some really interesting messages from that. Fast forward to this year, and we were able to get in contact with a number of people who were originally involved in this project, and we interviewed them again. And we asked them questions on reflecting about how being involved in the STEMiness actually impacted their trajectory with STEM. Were they still involved in this space, whether it was through education or through other aspects of their careers, how they felt about it now, and reflecting on these processes. We had some incredible vignettes that came from this, and some amazing stories. And some of the biggest things that came through these stories were the impact of education was incredibly significant. And this was whether education was positive or negative. It had incredibly significant impacts. Family, particularly parents and role models, also had significant impacts on whether or not the participants had particular views of STEM and had sought to go into these types of careers. So we had some really great things that came through. We also then had a look at the STEM pipeline too, and one of the main things, I'll finish with this, then one of the main things that actually came through this was the fact that in America, if you are in STEM education, you are actually included as figures in the STEM workforce. Within Australia, STEM educators are currently not included in our data set, and so one of the main things that we wanted to bring to this was the attention of how impactful we are as STEM educators, and that we should actually be included as well in those figures as we continue to motivate and inspire our next generations to pursue these very important careers. And I think that's my time. Thank you, Rika.
Thank you, Nikki. And thank you all of, I should say, to us, so that we came together. I like the analogy Ella put together of soup, but I see it as we made a beautiful bouquet of STEM people here doing research in the same area, but having a different color and a different fragrance here. I'm glad we could put this together. Hopefully, we maybe repeat the same exercise next year sometime, middle of next year, not put it towards end of the year, and showcase our strengths where we are working in a short time. We have some refreshments outside, but I would encourage students at the back or everyone, you have any questions, please ask, go near to the poster and presenters will be there. Thank you.
Very good initiative. I congratulate you.
Thank you.
But I'm sorry there are not more people who chose to put a poster together.
I don't think in this